everybody, Lord Tremendous here. I've got my second battle report here for you, and as you can see from the intro, it's for the Lizardmen. This one was a request. I'm going to eventually do them all. They are a lot of work. I've never worked so hard to give some of my opinion before. But real quick, just stop before you lose your mind and say, dude, this book's been out for months. I know. I'm very well aware how long the Lizardmen book has been out. This video is just an opinion of mine. It's on the Lizardman book. It's a review. It's supposed to be fun. My intent, just like with the Dwarf review, is to spur a debate. Feel free to put whatever you think in the comments section about either my opinion, the Lizardman book, neat things that you've done that's worked, things that you've seen work, things that you've seen that haven't worked that should work, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Put your recipe for cupcakes down in there. Somebody will probably enjoy that. But the idea is go over the book, you get my perspective on it, and what's wrong with that? The more information you get, the better. And hopefully it either makes you a better Lizardman player or a better opponent against Lizardmen, you know what I mean? So either way, sit back, relax, and get ready to see what I think of these scaled skin sons of guns. First and foremost, just like with the dwarves, I'm skipping the fluff. I have no desire to go over fluff. The fluff is good. I enjoy the narrative in the Lizardman book, but that's not the purpose of this review. The idea is to just get more information out there and perspective on the Lizardmen. If you want a review of the fluff, go to the Garage Hammer podcast. To be perfectly honest with you, those guys have no idea I'm throwing this little ad in there for them or anything like that. I don't even know if they'd approve, but I guess they can sue me for all the money I'll be making off of this, which is exactly zero. And they're welcome to it. I don't know. But I kid. They're a good group of guys. I think they sound cool on the radio, on the podcast anyway. But their review is very in-depth of the Lizardman book, and they cover the fluff, and both of those guys are outstanding. So if you're looking for a review that includes fluff, go check out the Garage Hammer podcast. Be great for that. The Army Special Rules. Just recap Cold-Blooded, probably one of the best, in my opinion, rules out there for any army. Whenever a model with this rule takes a leadership test, roll 3 dice and discard the highest. It's almost like everything's stubborn. I know there's a mathematician out there listening to this right now that knows the math, but basically it makes everybody leadership 10. It's insane. Or it feels like that anyway. I love this rule on the Lizardman. It suits their fluff and their models and everything perfectly. GW knocked it out of the park with this rule. The new rule they got in this book was Predatory Fighter. Whenever a model with this special rule rolls a 6 to hit, they get an extra attack. That's awesome. That is amazing. Oh, man. And just about everything Saurus has Predatory Fighter too. So your Old Bloods, your Scar Vets, your Saurus Warriors, your Cold One Riders. Not the cold ones, just the mounts, the riders. Which is very, very cool. It gives them that little edge that they needed, that bite attack. I remember, in the rumor stage, waiting for the book to come out, people were all saying, oh, they're going to get a bite, they're going to get a bite. Well, they kind of got a bite, but they bite with their weapons, so it's kind of cool. And also, I've heard some people say that this rule doesn't apply to supporting ranks. Something about the Big Red Book saying special rules don't apply to supporting ranks. I'm going to throw this out here right now because, to be perfectly honest, it kind of pisses me off when I hear people say that, because I think really it's just wishful thinking. If that was true, if Predatory Fighter did not apply to supporting ranks because it's a special rule, then the High Elf rule of martial prowess is completely useless. Because it's a special rule that allows supporting ranks to attack in one further rank. Well, sorry, your special rule doesn't apply to supporting ranks, because they can't have the special rule. This is a clear-cut case. It's in the BRB too, if you want, that the Army book trumps the BRB. Predatory Fighter does work for supporting ranks. I'm sorry, guys. I know there's a lot of people out there going, I refuse to believe that logic. That's fine. Don't ever play against me. Well, not that I play Lizardmen, but you get my idea. It's just one of those things. It's like, come on, guys. Don't try to hurt your opponents, I mean, yeah, if you have a legitimate claim, that's one thing, but come on. Let's get off this Predatory Fighter garbage, all right? It works in supporting ranks. And the other rule that a lot of them have, mostly Skinks, is aquatic. Models with this special rule have Marsh Strider and River Strider. They also they can get rank bonuses and be steadfast in the marshes and rivers, which I think is very cool. Also, if this unit is in a river or a marsh, they get an additional -1 when being shot at. So really, if you're shooting at a skink or you're playing against the Lizardmen army and they have skinks or something of the equivalent with the aquatic special rule, don't let them get in the water. They're not coming out. You're not going to pull them out very easily. It's going to be just one big tar pit after another. Keep them out of the water because that's pretty cool. Here's a couple of their army exclusive weapons. The blowpipe. I don't care who you are. If you've ever played Lizardmen, you've run into a unit that has blowpipes, and you know how dangerous these things are. 12-inch range, strength 3. That's not really that scary, but multiple shots, 2, and poisoned attacks. I've seen a little cloud of 10 of these guys drop a Nurgle Greater Demon because the guy just rolled enough 6s, and the Nurgle Greater Demon guy didn't make any ward saves. Keep in mind, they're naked. Yeah, that's a great thing about these things. The poison attacks, I don't care if you're toughness 1 or toughness 101. With poison attacks, you could be 0 and I don't care. My attacks are gonna wound you regardless on a 6. The other thing that they have is the Lustrian Javelin, which is a 12-inch range, strength is user, poison attacks with quick to fire. I kind of like the Lustrian Javelins a little bit more than I like the blowpipes, and I'll tell you why. Number 1, the quick to fire. We can march, we can fire, it doesn't matter. The blowpipe, they can't march and shoot, they're not fast cav. They're skirmishers usually, but they can't march and shoot. Quick to fire, I think that means they can still march and shoot. I might be wrong. Now that I say that out loud, it doesn't sound right. But anyway, I still like the Lustrian Javelin better than the blowpipe because they have, same range, they have the same base, strength or whatever, or maybe, yeah. And they have the same poison attacks, but what I like about the Lustrian Javelin is its strength is user, and since Skinks can use Lore of Beast now, they can really boost up their strength. Even if it is only by 1, it kind of gives them that advantage for when you have to worry about the armor save of your opponent or whatnot. But bottom line is, either choice that you make, it's a very, very cool decision. They got some really good shooting options for their little skinky guys. And here we go. Here's the meat of this review. It's the Lizardmen Army review. Dun dun dun. Yep, that just happened. And you knew we were going to start off with the big guy, the Slaan Mage Priest. Here's all of his special rules. He's got the rule Magic. The Slaan is a level 4 wizard. He uses the lore of High Magic or any lore in the BRB. They're the ministers of magic, these are the guys that came to this world and taught everybody how to use magic. They can use any of the lores that they brought here, high magic and anything in the BRB. Makes sense, and I like the versatility. Cold-blooded, obviously. And the Mage Priest Palanquin, or however you pronounce that word, I'm bad with English. Basically, you get to re-roll failed dangerous terrain tests. The troop type for the Slaan is now infantry, although they're never considered models on foot for the purposes of spells, magic items, and special rules. He's also got the Shield of the Old Ones, which means they come with a built-in for a board save, and that Telepathic Confabulation. Before rolling the Channel Power Dice, 2 models with this rule can exchange 1 spell. I don't know when in most games you're ever going to have more than 1 Slaan on the table because they're the only ones with this special rule. But I guess in like a Grand Army or a big game or something like that, it would be cool to have. Maybe it's like a fluff rule. I really don't know why they do this in here. Obviously I don't play Lizardmen or anything like that, but in the amount of games I've played, I've never seen at 2,500 points or lower somebody take 2 Slaans, and I've never seen this rule actually used in any scenario. Usually my opponents forget about them, when we're playing 3,000-4,000 point games, which I haven't done in a long time. So it's just one of those things where I see kind of why they threw it in there, but at the same time, the odds of you ever encountering this or dealing with it are slim to none, in my opinion. And in my opinion, the pros of the Slaan Mage Priest are he's a badass caster. He's probably one of the better casters in the game. Level 4. He's got a lot of cool little ditties that he can throw on him with the disciplines, which I'll get to in a little bit. that allow him to really manipulate the magic phase nicely. Anyone who plays Warhammer knows the reputation of a Slaan. Even if you've never played the game, if you've read the fluff, you understand that Slaan are no joke. Interesting abilities with magic and a huge amount of lords to choose from. They're versatile. They could be anything. Anything from death to life to beast to fire to high magic. So really, they're quite good in my opinion. If you're going to take a caster, if you want a caster-themed Lizardman army, of course you're going to take a Slan. Why wouldn't you? Also, they can be your BSB, which I think is pretty cool. I like the idea of the what's it called, the Slan being able to not only be your general but be your BSB, especially considering he's the focal point of any Lizardman army if you're taking him. So that's kind of cool. The cons, they're absolutely garbage in close combat. If something enemy is base to base with this thing, you have a problem. Your Slan is probably going to die or get run down. He's not unbreakable. I believe in a unit of Temple Guard, he might be stubborn, but yeah, you have a serious problem if your Slan gets into close combat. As an infantry model, it can be stumped. It's infantry. I know people are like, well, he's never considered a model on foot. It has nothing to do with stomps or thunder stomps. It's an infantry model. It can be stomped, which I think they desperately need an FAQ for. I don't believe that was the intent, and if it was, WTF GW. I don't get that even for a second. Like I said before, telepathic confabulation isn't going to be used unless you're playing with a grand army, and I think most of us can count the amount of times we've done that on one hand, and seriously nerfed from their last book. They're still good casters, they're still tough, they're still, you see one on the table, the magic phase is going to be brutal, but if you're looking at Slan, how they were compared to how they are now, I mean, they've lost their free power die. The free casting die, that's gone. A lot of their neat tricks and stuff are gone. So it's a serious change in mindset. If you're going to run a Slan, you really need to understand how they work now. Next up is our Saurus leaders, the Old Blood and the Scar Veteran. I decided to group them up because for the most part they have the same rules. The Saurus leaders, they have Cold-Blooded, they have Predatory Fighter, they have the Old Blood gets a standard 4+ scaly skin, which is pretty nice. And the Scar Veteran comes with a 5+ scaly skin. That's pretty cool, I guess. Honestly, I kind of would have liked to see the Old Blood come with a 3+ standard and the Scar Veteran having a 4+. I think since, according to the fluff, with their age and the amount of battles they fought, and, he's a Scar Veteran, he's an Old Blood. I think their scale should be should be a bit harder than than a 4+ and a 5+ respectively. I mean, I know, in order to keep balance and everything like that, but I kind of tend to listen to the fluff and the story, so I would have preferred to see each one of them getting an extra bonus to their armor save, just because I believe that they should. And it's my opinion piece, so be it. That's my opinion. The pros, I like these guys. Old Bloods are amazing in combat. They have a lot of attack. They're basically the equivalent of a Chaos Lord without the marks, which is really impressive. Not as high a weapon skill, but they're still incredibly dangerous. Not only that, but with Predatory Fighter, if you rolled, Yahtzee and got all 6s, an Old Blood has potentially 10 attacks, and a Scar Veteran has potentially 8. That's a lot of potential. I know it's very unlikely, but we've all been there. We've all seen people roll out of the box on 6s and 1s, and so it's there. The potential is there, and it cannot be ignored. It's incredibly easy to make a well-rounded and intense close combat Lord or hero. Both of them can ride Carnosaurs. I'm going to say that again throughout this thing. They can ride Carnosaur. A hero can take a monster mount as badass as the Carnosaur. Why would you not do that? Very, very, very good close combat characters for kind of cheap. They're actually very cheap considering. Cons, Leadership 8 on a Lord kind of sucks. I'm sorry. I know I'm Warriors of Chaos spoiled. But when I look at Leadership 8 on an Old Blood, this super ancient, fighting lunatic, and he's only Leadership 8, I got a problem with that. Cold-Blooded does even this out. I know that. I respect that. I know what you're saying, but still, Leadership 8 just irks me. Weapon skill 6 and weapon skill 5, respectively, is kind of on the low end for lords and heroes. Again, I know I'm spoiled, Warriors of Chaos, I get it, but still, leadership weapon skill 6 on an old blood. This guy's been through millennia of battles. He's fought the demons when they first showed up on the world, and you're telling me he's only weapon skill 6. I got a problem with that. Same with the Scarvet at weapon skill 5. I don't like that. I think they should be higher, and that's just my opinion. Next up, we got some skink leaders, the skink chief and the skink priest. The skink priest has the special rule magic. He uses the lore beast and the lore heavens. They both have they both have the rule aquatic, cold-blooded, and scaly skin 6 up, which is kind of nice. I think before they didn't have any kind of scaly skin at all. Arcane Vassal. This is for the Skink Priest only. Basically, a Slaan, Croak, and Mazdamundi are included. Can use any Skink Priest anywhere on the table to cast a magic missile or a direct damage spell as long as they're within 24 inches of him. So I guess it's not anywhere on the table. You get my drift. He line of sight and range of the spell is determined from the skink priest. So if your Slaan is 24 inches away from a skink priest, and the skink, and the target is 36 inches away, and it's only a 24-inch range spell, well, if that skink is positioned properly, you can cast that spell right through him and still nab the son of a gun, which is so cool. He's got satellites. A Slaan can use skink priests as satellites for magic missiles and direct damage spells, and considering that they have access to every single lore in the BRB, not to mention high magic, that makes them incredibly devastating casters. You just can't hide from them. Oh, my fast cav's over here where it's safe. Nope, your fast cav's in range, you're dead. Ha ha ha. I think it's cool. Let's see. The skink can't be in combat, however, if he's going to try to cast that. If the Slaan is in close combat, he can still cast magic missiles and dispels direct damage spells through the skink priest as long as the skink priest is not in combat. However, if a miscast is rolled, the miscast is resolved against the Slaan, but the skink takes a strength 3 hit because there's a lot of power going through his cerebral cortex, and that hurts. Pros, in my opinion, the dirt cheap characters that can be surprising with the right kits. I mean, a skink chief with what's it called, the cloak of feathers and stuff like that, and anything else. He can get across the table quick. He could slam into a unit of fast cav unexpectedly and take out a few of them with the right kit, and nobody would expect it. And you're talking for like 120 points. I mean, I'm Warriors of Chaos. I would kill for something like that. I will take human life. Come on, GW, just point at them. Same with the priests. I mean, I think they start off like, in the double-digit points, butt naked, level 1 caster, and potentially you could give them like one a dispel scroll, one a cube of darkness, one the staff of sorcery or staff of channeling, or whatever the heck you wanted to give them, the hex scroll, any of the scrolls, like the feedback scroll, and you'd still have plenty of points for your BSB on a Carnosaur. I mean, it's amazing how cheap these skink characters are, but how useful they could be. They're not quite a liability. Throw them in with a cloud of skink skirmishers, and you're good to go. Priests are great for people that don't want to take a Slaan. Hey, I want to take a couple of old bloods as my lord choices. 625 points of lord choices. Yeah, now I'm going to take a few skinks, and we're going to be golden. It's all the magic defense I need, and I still get to throw a few spells around. So it's still very, very potent, and I really like how versatile those options make everything. Skink Chiefs are nothing to scoff at for their point cost. I mean, they're dirt cheap and can be kitted out to do some serious damage. I mean, they're no Chaos Lord, they're no Old Blood or anything like that, but they're quite good. And the underestimating people do of them really gives you advantage if you kit one out correctly. Arcane Vassal makes the Slaan casting amazing through these dirt cheap guys. You could take a butt-naked skink priest, throw him out on his own just for that reason. Hey, I threw him in a river, in a forest, just so I could have line of sight to stuff so it can't hide from me as easily, and cast Fireball through him, And boom, there you go. 60 points, incredibly well spent. Cons, the Skink Chief is toughness 3. And the Skink Priest is toughness 2. I know they're skinks. I understand that they're supposed to be low toughness. I'm not saying that it's something I would change, but it is definitely a con. That is a huge weakness that can be easily exploited by any opponent. The chief only gets 3 attacks. You have to do something about it. Like I said, you have to kit him out properly and stuff like that. But that kind of eats at me. I would have liked to see the Skink Chief get Predatory Fighter. He does not have that. Not surprising. I understand that. I understand Predatory Fighter's a Saurus thing. I get it. But it would have been nice to see the Chief Priest or the Chief Skink Chief get that. That's just my opinion. And again, with the weapon skill 4 on the Skink Chief, that eats at me. You have no idea. He's a Lord choice. He should be weapon skill 5. He's a Skink Chief. He's geared to fight. Weapon skill 4? Are you kidding me? He's a Skink Chief. He's a Lord choice that's no better at fighting than regular soldiers. It's kind of like, I got a problem with that. But for the point cost, it's not like you're paying for weapon skill 5 and only getting weapon skill 4. So it's a small con, I admit it. Next up is the backbone of this army, the army that the damn book is named after, or the unit that the book is named after, Saurus warriors. They've got cold-blooded, predatory fighter, awesome, and they come with a 5 upscaled skin now, which I think is pretty cool. Well, maybe they always have it. I really don't know, but I like it. The pros of these guys are you're gonna have them. Unless you're playing a skink-themed list for whatever reason. I mean, with your core choices, I think you've only really got the choices between different flavors of skinks and Saurus warriors. Whoa, that's kind of more of a con than a pro. Yeah, you've got 3 core choices in this book. So, if you're going to take a Lizardman army, get ready to put together some Saurus warriors. But they are the backbone of your army. These guys are tough at toughness 4. They're reliable. I mean, their weapon skill kind of sucks. Their initiative is a little low. Well, it's incredibly low. But still, they're not overly expensive for what you get. In fact, I think they've got them priced just right. You give them spears and they can be more offensive. You give them hand weapon shield. It gives them a little bit more survivability. But large or small bricks will be very useful in any kind of a Lizardman army you put together. So, although you only get 1 flavor, Saurus Warriors, really, for your core choices, it's a very good flavor, It's like true vanilla. And what I really do like, too, is that they get 2 attacks each. A lot of core choices don't get that, and especially with Predatory Fighter, literally doubles your chances to roll a 6 and get an extra attack. The cons, in my opinion, are initiative 1, and they can't take great weapons. If you're gonna give a unit, a low initiative, why wouldn't you give them some sort of great weapon, or at least halberds? I don't get that. I don't understand. According to the fluff, these things were designed to just take things out, but they're really, 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 really slow. So in their infinite wisdom, Slaan never thought, hey, why don't you take these big great weapons? They can make them because the Kroxigors are equipped with them. Take a great weapon and go beat the crap out of some stuff. You're initiative 1 anyway. It's going to take you a minute to throw that sharpened die beam around anyway. Might as well do some damage if you survive long enough to hit. I don't get it. They get spears, they get shields. I don't know. I would have liked to see them get some great weapons. And weapon skill 3, I know they're Saurus warriors. They're not supposed to be, martial fighters. It's all instinct. Weapon skill 3 is actually right, but it's still weapon skill 3. Ugh. Next up is our Skinks. These are a huge favorite of most people. Everybody likes to see Skinks. They're threatening, but they don't look threatening, and I think that's what they really have going for them. They've got the special rules: aquatic, cold-blooded, and scaly skin 6-up, which is nice. They get a little chance on strength 3 shot or hits or whatever, which is good for them, right? They've also got the skirmisher rule: skink skirmishers and patrol leader only. Not the guys that rank and file up with Kroxigor. They also have the rule Spawnkin. Skink cohorts can have Kroxigor added to their unit. Kroxigor go in the second rank, they go in the second rank until there aren't enough skinks left for the unit to be formed legally. They can only target attacks. Opponents can only target attacks at the Kroxigor if they're in base contact with the Krox, or if they're in base contact with the Skink that is in turn in base contact with the Kroxigor. So, unless you get into their rear or something, or you're in the flank, you're always going to be able to attack the Kroxigor. I don't fully understand that, but whatever. Stomps and Thunderstomps are always resolved against the Skinks. Remember that rule right there. I'm going to stop everything right here. Stomps and Thunderstomps are always resolved against the Skinks. Some people say, since it's a unique unit, when Kroxigors join in with the Skinks, they can't be stomped. That line in Spawnkin right there shows that they can, but you have to resolve the stomps and thunderstomps against the Skinks. The rule right there specifies it. Spawnkin. Stomps and thunderstomps are always resolved against the Skinks, which means they can be stomped and thunderstomped. However, any wounds, so let's say you do like 8 thunderstomp wounds or stomps and thunderstomps rules to them, and there's only 6 skinks left. Those other 2 wounds do not get applied to the Kroxigor. They're wasted. One skinks gets stomped again and again after he was already dead. So remember that if you ever run into a Lizardmen player. Read the Spawnkin rule. It specifically says where the stomps and the thunderstomps are allocated. So hope that helps you. The pros, in my opinion, for the Skinks are, I love these guys. Plain, simple, and to the point. These Skink skirmishers are great redirectors, harassers, screens. Skink clouds have given opponents nightmares. I've had nightmares about these guys. They're cheap, lethal, and they're badass. Just awesome. I mean, running across the table, firing off their little darts, dropping greater demons. It's pretty terrifying. With the javelins being strength as user, the lower beast spells suddenly become even better. Not to mention, if you have a Slaan and he wants to fire off a spell at these guys to up their strength, holy cow. Those javelins can get real dangerous real quick. Poison blowpipes can fell greater demons, like I've said a couple of times throughout this report. I've seen it. Don't get me wrong, all the stars aligned in order for that to happen, but the potential is there and it can't be ignored. The cons, I don't fully understand what the point of putting Kroxigor in a unit is good for. Any damage the Kroxigor are able to do, they're going to lose in combat resolution gained when your opponent attacks the Skinks. All I would do is attack Skinks. I'm just going to kill them. Skinks are terrible in close combat. Avoid it at all costs. So if you put a Kroxigor unit inside your Skinks, you have to get them in combat for them to be useful. Leave the Kroxigor out of the unit. I don't understand the point at all. The Skinks don't even protect them if you charge, in your front rank. They can still attack the Kroxigor. So if you're trying to protect them in close combat, you just failed. I don't understand why Kroxigor going with Skinks. It's a con to me because it's an option. I don't understand what the point is. If you really want to give me points, just don't take the unit. Here you go, man. Here's 500 points. I just decided not to field it because it's easier than putting it on the board and then taking it right back off. Alrighty. Next up, we got Cold One Riders. They got cold-blooded. They cause fear, which is nice. Predatory fighter, only on the riders. Scaly skin 5 up, and they are stupid as rocks. Also, they have the special rule Thick-Skinned. A rider on top of a Cold One mount gets +2 to his armor save, not just +1. They exude armor save, which is kind of cool. The pros to these guys are they're the same old reliable cavalry Lizardmen always have. I don't think anything's changed other than the fact that the Cold Ones now get 2 attacks each, which is nice because the rider gets 2 attacks with Predatory Fighter and the Cold One gets 2 attacks without Predatory Fighter. So they actually got a little bit better. Now that I think about it, they did get a lot better. Their damage output potential is much higher. I would go so far as to say doubled. Fast-moving Lizardmen are nice. You can't complain. The cold-blooded guys running around. They still got low initiative, and that's some of the cons. Still got that low initiative, so yay, I made it across the table really, really quick. Charged, and you get to attack first. They do have the 2-up armor save now, which is good, but, well, now I think they've always had that, but it is what it is. And, of course, stupidity. Even though they're cold-blooded and it helps a ton, they're still stupid. If they get charged, they have to stand there and look at it. If it never seems to fail, you get them into a position and you're getting ready to charge and you need it. It's critical to winning the game, and you roll 3 6s and then you roll 3 6s again. It's like, oh, good, they're stupid, and then they get charged and die, or the game ends and you failed to get the points you needed to win. So you've got to take that with a grain of salt. You got to kind of try to factor that in. There is a very good chance at some point I'm going to fail the stupidity roll, and what will I do if that occurs? Next up are the Temple Guard, and I love these guys. I do. They're everything that Saurus warriors dream they should be. They got cold-blooded, they got predatory fighter, they got a 5-up scaled skin, and they got the Guardian special rule. When a Slaan joins this unit, he's put in the second rank. The Slaan never goes to the first rank until the unit is reduced to 4 or less Temple Guard. Slaan automatically pass Lookout Sir if they're in the unit, and if the Slaan causes fear, the unit causes fear as well. They've also got the special rule Sacred Duty. When the unit is joined by a Slaan, or I'm sorry, when the Temple Guard unit is joined by a Slaan, the unit gains Immunopsychology and Stubborn. The pros of these guys: if you are going to take a Slaan and you don't want to have him running around by his lonesome, this is a great unit. They come with halberds and shields and light armor and scaly skin, and if you stick the Slaan in there with them, take some sort of anything, lore of life, lore of anything that buffs infantry well, you've got a very tough unit. Very, very tough unit to crack. Not to mention they're stubborn, immune to psychology, cold-blooded, predatory fighter, and they look so cool. I love these models. I do. Even if you don't take a Slaan, this is still a great unit. Maybe you wouldn't take as big of a one if you didn't take a Slaan, or maybe you would. I don't know. It's up to you. But this could still be a very good infantry unit. If you're looking for another hard-hitting unit, because they're strength 5 halberds, 4-up armor. They're pretty good. Combo with 2 attacks, base and predatory fighter. I like it. Keep in mind strength 5, and combined with the Slaan, this unit, like I said, is a tough, if not impossible, nut to crack for some armies. Cons, they're initiative 2. That's right, they're twice the initiative of a Saurus warrior because they're twice the lizard of a Saurus warrior. But they're still initiative 2. So if you run into an appointment, if you run into an opponent with Pit of Shades or Purple Sun or anything that targets initiative, you can just go ahead and pick up the unit. Really don't let that spell go off. That's why you take the Cube of Darkness and the Dispel Scroll. No. Initiative 2 is going to hurt you. There's no heavy armor option for Temple Guard. I really find that odd for an elite unit dedicated to protecting a demigod. Their whole purpose in life is to protect the Slaan, and nowhere in their millennia of existence did the Slaan ever go, you know what? Maybe we should have you guys wearing heavy armor to protect my stupid ass. Just throwing it out there. The Lizardmen really don't deserve to survive because they just don't think outside the box at all, or pay attention to the enemies they're fighting. Wow, that heavy armor really made that guy more difficult to kill. Well, we better not apply that to our own guys that are in charge of saving our lives, because that would be stupid. Why Temple Guard don't get... I understand why I don't get it right off the bat, but I think there should be a heavy armor option for these guys, like an upgrade. I really don't understand why that didn't show up. Next up is the Troglodon, or as I like to call it, that model that sits on your shelf and collects dust. It looks really cool, but let's face it, if you see one fielded on the table, your opponent is making fun of you. I'm kidding. If you field one and it works for you, great. I'm just messing around. They got the special rule Arcane Vassal, that's a Skink Oracle only. Aquatic, Cold-Blooded, Large Target, Poison Attacks, only to Troglodon. Predatory Fighter, also only to Troglodon, which is actually kind of cool. Scaly Skin 4-up, and the Terror. Another special rule he has is Beast Rider. Skink and Troglodon are one model. If the Troglodon dies, the Skink dies too, and vice versa. Explains what stats are used when. Basically, this is one model. This is not a monster ridden by a character. So just when he runs out of wounds, you don't get a Skink Oracle model running around. The Skink Oracle can't be shot off him, and now you've got a Troglodon running around. If one dies, the whole thing's gone. It's one model. He's also got Primeval Roar, which is actually kind of cool. Once per game, At the start of any friendly close combat phase, all models within a foot of the Troglodon that have Predatory Fighter gain +1 attack on a roll of a 5 or a 6 in close combat till the end of the phase. Basically, it makes their Predatory Fighter a little bit more potent. On a 5 or a 6, they get +1 attack. So that's actually really cool. That would be a good reason to take this model if you were looking for a reason to field it. It has a Spit Venom attack, 18-inch range, strength 5, multiple shots, D3, and quick to fire. Why it's not poisoned? I guess maybe because it's a spitting attack, but with everything else that's poisoned in this army, I think they dropped the ball there. And he has one upgrade. You can add a Divining Rod to the Oracle that will allow him to channel power and dispel dice, which is cool. You know, you get all the power or you get all the channeling, but none of the casting. In my opinion, the pros, it's a cool little support monster for, in my opinion, a skink-themed army. If you're like, I'm going as many skinks as I can, Pteranodons, Ripperdactyls, skinks, chameleons, skink chiefs, skink priests, having this guy on a Troglodon running around helping you out does make sense. It's kind of cool. Although without any Saurus around, you kind of waste his, his roar thing. Gives you a non-character slot to use to channel power dice and dispel dice. I mean, if you're kind of hard up for it, or you just want that extra edge, you want one more die to throw, why not throw him in there? You know, he is still kind of cool. I do like the Spit Venom attack, although it's not poisoned. And it's not a terrible monster to take for the cost. Solely a support unit, though. Don't expect to charge this thing into too much solo and have him just kick ass and take names. He's got the stats to do well in support role, but I would not see him as a standalone monster. He's no Stegadon. The cons, he's got 3 attacks. Predatory Fighter helps, but he's got 3. He's a monster with 3 attacks. I have a problem with that. He's only Leadership 6. Cold-blooded, I know, but Leadership 6, I'm sorry, that is poop. I don't like it. I know he's riding a skink. I get all that. But he's Leadership 6. He's not stubborn. He's not. It's a monster that's going to run. I'm not, like I said, I don't think it should be higher or anything like that. I know cold-blooded helps. I'm well aware that most monsters are low leadership. But in my opinion, it's a con. It's something you have to take into consideration if you field one of these, because if he's too far away from a high leadership general and he's in combat, or he has to take a panic check, you may have a problem on your hands, and it's a con worth considering. Next up are Chameleon Skinks. My favorite flavor is skink. They've got the special rule aquatic, cold-blooded, scaly skin 6-up. They are scouts and they are skirmishers. And they have the special rule known as Chameleon. Basically, whenever you're shooting at these guys, I don't care if they're standing right in front of you, you have to take an extra -1 to hit when shooting at them. So on top of them being skirmishers, on top of them being possibly long range, or you moved, or they're in cover, or they're behind a unit or whatever, they get an extra -1, or you take an extra -1 just to shoot at them because they're chameleons. They blend. I like that. I think it's cool. Pros, they are a badass scouting group of skinks. That's right. They have ballistic skill 4 and ballistic skill 5 for the unit champion. Regular shooting is wasted on these guys. I like their high ballistic skill. That's very nice. But their regular shooting, like if somebody's like, oh, my Dark Riders, shoot at him, go ahead. Please do. I don't even care. You might get one, and then they're going to fire back and murder face all your guys. They're a great way to put your opponent on the back foot in turn 1. Imagine running across the new dwarf armies or an Empire army with, that's heavy. Heavy war machines, or even like an orcs and goblins list that has a lot of goblin war machines, and this chameleons are behind enemy lines turn 1 because of a denied flank or whatever. They are going to run up that flank and they are going to just have a field day. And even if they grape shot you or something like that, they're still taking a -1 to hit you. If they shoot at you, great. They're not shooting at anything else on your side of the table. And the chameleons get the soft cover save bringing with them on top of any cover save they might already get. So yeah, I like these guys a lot. Great War Machine hunters, absolutely great. They don't even need to get into combat. I'm toughness 7. I don't care. I rolled 4 6s. What's your armor save? 6 up. You better get lucky. Just it's awesome, 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 awesome unit. And you know what? The point cost for them is reasonable. It's not overcosted. It's not undercosted. You get what you pay for, and not a cent more is needed. The cons, of course, they're skinks. They suck in close combat. Do not charge War Machine crews with these guys. It's not worth it. Just shoot at them. Stand in front of them so that, especially if they're ballistic skill based War Machines, like anything, and make them shoot through you if they want to shoot something, or block their line of sight completely and take the option away from them, and just shoot at them until you're bored. Low leadership, so the risk of panic checks, even with cold-blooded, is there. I'm not saying that their leadership should be higher. I'm just saying it's a con you should think about when you field these guys. If they do take enough wounds or something like that, or God forbid they get into combat, you will have to factor in the fact that their leadership is low and you might flee with them. And seriously, the models need an update badly. The old metal, creepy-looking models, I don't even like touching them because they're just too creepy. I think they need an update. That's just my opinion. That's a con because it's my opinion. Next up are the Kroxigors. I don't even know how I feel about these guys. They're aquatic, cold-blooded fear. They get the predatory fighter, and they're scaly skin 4-up. Kroxigor. I do like the idea of these guys. I just don't know exactly how I feel about fielding them. I'm not. I personally, if I played Lizardmen, would not take them in a unit of Skinks. But at the same time, if you take them by themselves, all by them lonesome, they've only got a 4-up armor save. I guess if you had a Slaan or a Skink backing them up with buff spells, augment spells or something like that, they'd be better. But you would have to kind of cater to that. And to be perfectly honest with you, with the Kroxigor and stuff like that, I mean, you've just got so many better options in your special slots. I can't really justify why you take them. Some of their pros are their strength 7 attacks with predatory fighter, which makes it so that with 3 attacks each, the ones that actually get to attack back, because let's face it, with great weapons and 4-up armor save, you're going to take a lot of wounds with these guys unless you can get some serious augments off on them, which you may or may not be able to do. It depends. It's a situational thing. I understand that. But they're initiative 1, and now I get into the con. They're initiative 1. If you were playing against Lizardmen and you had a spell at your disposal that would allow you to attack, do wounds to them on, initiative 1, I mean, if you had Purple Sun or Pit of Shades, you're going to 6 dice kamikaze cast it at them as hard as you can every single round until it goes through and wipes out the unit. Weapon skill 3 for a special unit, I understand that fits with them, but it still sucks. Weapon skill 3 is garbage on a special choice, in my opinion. Yes, I know, Warrior Chaos guy, ha ha ha. No, come on. These are elite guys. I know that they're construction workers and stuff like that, but weapon skill 3 still eats at my soul. And in my opinion, they are exceptionally expensive considering their stat line. Iron Guts are cheaper than these guys, and really all they have is +1 armor save on Iron Guts. I mean, come on. These guys are way overcost in my opinion. Next up, we got some Jungle Swarms. They're aquatic, they have cold-blooded, they have poison attacks, which is awesome, and they have the funniest special rule I've read in a while. It's called They're Everywhere. And basically, if an enemy unit is in base-to-base contact with a unit of Jungle Swarms, all close combat attacks directed at that unit are poisoned. Which means not only like you have a unit of 3 Jungle Swarms and you charge them in with your brick of Saurus warriors. Well, your Saurus warriors, provided that the Jungle Swarms don't just get stomped out of existence before they can attack, but the Jungle Swarm makes it so that now your Saurus warriors' attacks are poisoned. So all those 6s that you roll that you get extra attacks with, you don't have to roll those 6s again because they just wounded. So yeah, imagine your monsters hitting them. Imagine, like a Carnosaur hitting, or imagine being able to put poison on every unit that's currently in close combat because you have a jungle swarming face to face with that unit as well. I like that. That is cool. That is a very, very cool option to give the Lizardmen. And it makes jungle swarms kind of worth taking. The pros of these guys, a lot of poison attacks for the cost. I mean, these things are pretty cheap considering what they can do for your army. Much better than Kroxigor in most cases. Yeah, I know they're not strength 7, they're strength 2, but their purpose is not to do a whole lot of damage. If they do any damage, hey, great, cool, bonus. But their job, especially when teamed up with like a Bastiladon or with the Arcosotek, they can be better than zombies because you can actually put, bases up. But their everywhere rule makes it the best support option in the book, in my opinion. Because okay, great, now everything's in close combat with you, and yep, check it out. I got one base left. Everything I'm throwing at you is poison attack with predatory fighter. Oh baby, oh baby, oh, very very cool. And if you want any kind of proof that that's a badass thing, just look at witch elves. Always strikes first with poison attacks at strength 3, and those things will chew through anything. So yeah, granted they don't get rerolls, but still, poison attacks with predatory fighter. Every poison attack you get an extra reward on top of it. Cons, they're terrible in close combat. So you'll have to take a lot of them, and you'll have to be careful with how you charge them into combat. Flanks and rears for these guys are ideal, if not mandatory. Trying to get them onto corners and stuff are mandatory. These things are possibly something that you charge in after the main unit has got locked into combat with it, or maybe got an unfortunately they were unfortunately charged by something they're struggling with. Well, these guys go in there, and by making that unit that's in combat with them poisoned, now there's a problem for that unit. And as with all swarms, they're unstable, and I don't like that rule. It kind of bugs me. Next up, we got some Pteranodon riders. They got cold-blooded. They cause fear, which is awesome. They're flying cav, which is also awesome because basically they're fast cav that with wings. They got forest strider, which is cool. So when you have to land or go through a forest, you don't have to take dangerous terrain, which is really good. And they got scaly skin 6-up, which is kind of useless, but hey, I'll take it. One of their cool little upgrades is, special rules is drop rocks. Basically, once per game during the remaining moves phase, a unit can drop rocks on a unit they flew over during the regular move phase. Target suffers D3 strength 4 hits for each Pteranodon in the unit, which, let's face it, that's a great way to take care of chaff, fast cav, people you don't like. I mean, it's I like it. And they do have an upgrade, the Fire Leech Bolas. It's a 6-inch range, strength 4, flaming attacks, and quick to fire. They've got javelins, the 12-inch range javelins with poison. I don't fully understand why you'd want strength 4, 6-inch range, strength 4 flaming attacks that are quick to fire. If these things are being charged, you have failed to position them properly. I guess if you ran into a lot of trolls or regenerating opponents or something like that, they'd be worth taking. Or strength 4, I guess, is better than strength 3, but they come with javelins. Strength 3, strength is user anyway. Poison attacks, I just don't see, and double the range. I don't get it. I don't understand Fire Leech Bolas at all. The pros, in my opinion, are I love the new Ripperdactyl models. GW knocked it out of the park with these models. I really like them. Very versatile and useful fast cav option, especially for a slow-moving Lizardman army as it is. Dropping rocks, like I said earlier, is a great way to deal with opponents' chaff and fast cav. Quit harassing my Skinks or my Saurus warriors, and rocks, and six strength 4 hits later, poof, they're gone. Fire Leech Bolas bring a new level to harassment to the Skinks, I guess. I'm having trouble figuring out exactly why, unless it's in a very specific, like I know I'm going up against Throg, or I know I'm going up against a bunch of regenerating models of any sort. Other than that, maybe if you didn't want to take the Ruby Ring of Ruin, I have no idea. They do complement Skink skirmishers very well. These guys are also great War Machine hunters. I would not hesitate to charge these guys into War Machine crews. Even dwarves, I would probably charge these guys in there just simply because I think that with the charge and everything like that, they have the ability to take them out. Cons, they are kind of weak in combat. That being said, maybe not dwarves, but human empire or Bretonnian war machines, even certain fast cav, I would not hesitate to charge these guys in, just simply because, while they are kind of weak in combat, they have the potential. When I say weak in combat, I mean I wouldn't charge them into like marauders or rank and file bricks, even to support, unless I was desperate or I was screwed either way. They are susceptible to shooting, so you need to be careful how you place these guys during your movement phase. If someone can shoot at these guys or get a magic missile off or a direct damage off on them, they're going to, unless they're just not thinking or they have a really big threat right in front of their face. These guys will be shot at more than anything, but you can use that to your advantage. But they are susceptible to shooting. They really don't have any defense. And Leadership 5, even with cold-blooded, if they have to take a panic, they're probably going home. Next up, we got ourselves some Ripperdactyls. Yeah, you know what? I like these guys. I don't understand for the life of me why I don't see more of them. I have played plenty of Lizardmen armies. I have seen plenty of Lizardmen armies since this book has released. I have never seen the Ripperdactyls fielded, and I don't fully understand why. I get that they have some weaknesses. I get that there are some definite drawbacks to taking them, but this unit, in my opinion, has so much potential to just be devastating. Just 3 of them, like you see on the table. Plus, they look cool. But yeah, they've got armor piercing. The Ripperdactyl does, but that's really what you take this for. The guys on top, they're just the steerers. I couldn't care less about them. But they got armor piercing, just the Ripperdactyls. Cold-blooded, they cause fear. They're flying fast cav. They've got frenzy, the Ripperdactyl only. They've got killing blow. Are you kidding me? They have flying fast cav with frenzy and killing blow. And then of course they've got the scaled skin 6-up. Who cares? But killing blow, frenzy, armor piercing. And I'm not even done yet. They've got Toad Rage. This alone sold me on this unit. Before the game starts, but after scouts are deployed, a Lustrian Blot Toad marker is placed on an enemy unit for each unit of Ripperdactyls you field. The marker remains for the rest of the game. So even to the Ripperdactyl like you have multiple Ripperdactyl units, if the one Blot Toad that they had is on this unit of whatever, and that unit of Ripperdactyls die, you don't remove the Blot Toad, so the other unit of Ripperdactyls can still use it, which is really cool. When the Ripperdactyl unit fights a unit with the marker, their Frenzy rule grants them D3 plus 1 extra attacks instead of just 1. Ripperdactyls also then reroll failed to hit rolls. Are you flippin' kidding me? D3 plus 1 extra killing blow frenzy attacks. Wow. Then just put the icing on the cake. They just go, you know what? We want you to buy these models. They get to re-roll failed to hit rolls. That's not just in the first round of combat. That's re-roll and fail to hit rolls. Now, granted, if you lose combat with these guys, they lose the frenzy rules, so the Blot Toad is useless. I get that. But, oh my god, until that happens, if that happens, these guys are forced to be reckoned with. Killing blow, if you were looking for an assassin unit, you have found it. Look no further. The pros of these guys, I love these models. I'm going to buy a unit of these guys just to own them. I'm not going to play Lizardmen because they're just not my thing, but I'm going to own these models because I love them. Great potential character hunters. I would throw these guys at Sorcerer Lords on a disc. I know they have a 3-up rerolling 1 ward save. I just need you to roll 1/2 because you're still cav and susceptible to killing blow. And if I can get 2 or 3 6s through there, imagine if you rolled a 2. Poof! Lord dead. And they could catch them. I love these guys. Uh, Toad Toad marker plus Ripperdactyls equals carnage. Even if you don't throw these guys into character, even if you don't use them for that, you put the blot marker on anything else that's like toughness 3. I'm thinking, maybe executioners or gosh, swordsmen, anything. You get them into the flank or something like that where they don't get their full attacks and then they get to attack. Oh my goodness, the amount of attack potential that these guys put out with killing blow and armor piercing and re-rolling hits and I mean, I think honestly the trick there would be send a big old brick of Saurus warriors down to Pipe, lit that unit that has the blot toad or the blot toad marker on them, charge that unit of Saurus warriors, stick that first round of combat, stick the second round of combat, and then let those Ripperdactyl guys come in there if you can, and just beat the tar out of them, or send them after war machines. Why not? Send them after the war machines and make that happen. I would take these guys over the Pteranodons every single time. The cons, here's their biggest one, and if you were going to fight against these guys, I would throw something in front of them every single time because their frenzied 5-up leadership means you really need to be careful with how you move these guys. I would almost go so far as to say fly them backwards, if these things can see something, they're probably going to have to try to charge it because they're movement 10, swift stride. They're going to have. I mean, it's a 22-inch visual range, and the only thing stopping you from doing it, unless the general is close by, is a leadership 5. So really be careful with how you move these guys if you field them. They're also all offense. These guys are the epitome of offense. Don't let them get shot at if you can avoid it. Don't let them get magic missile or direct damaged, and don't let them get into a combat they have no business being in, like against a steam tank, for example, or something ridiculous like that. Other than that, I really don't know why people don't take more of these guys. I absolutely love them. Next up is probably one of my top 3 is the Stegadons. Ancient or regular, your choice. The both flavors are delicious. They've got cold-blooded. They're immune to psychology. They have D6 plus 1 impact hits. They're a large target. They have scaled skin 4-up. That's just a regular Stegadon. The ancient Stegadon has a 3-up scaled skin, which, if you go back to what I was talking about before with the Scar Veteran and the Old Blood, okay, so the regular Stegadon, who's really old, not as old as a Scar Veteran, but still pretty old and stuff like that, he's got a 4-up scaled skin. Is that just because he's bigger? What the hell is the logic there? And the ancient Stegadon, he comes with a 3-up. There's old bloods that were there when its mother was born. And yet the old blood still only has a 4-up scaled skin. That is a grievous mistake in this book, in my opinion, because if the ancient Stegadon and the regular Stegadon can have the proper scaly skin saves, the Lord and hero level character should also get those saves. This is a mistake in my opinion. Feel free to argue it in the comments section. They also both come with stubborn, which is awesome, and terror, which is awesome. They have the special rule How to Crew, which basically means if no character rides the Stegadon, all attacks are done against the Stegadon. You cannot target the crew. Even if a character does ride the Stegadon, the crew still can't be targeted. The character can, but the Stegadon cannot. Basically, even if the character is killed, no monster reaction test is made. Some equipment that the Ancient Stegadon can be equipped with is the Giant Bow. It's got a 36-inch range, it's Strength 5, multiple wounds D3, and poison attacks. Basically, it's a bolt thrower. Plain, simple, and to the point. And it can move and shoot. It can't march and shoot, but hey, it's a Stegadon. It ain't going to be moving all that much anyway. It's a mobile bolt thrower. It's kind of cool that they threw a war machine in there for the Lizardmen. They also gave him the Giant Blowpipe, which is 18-inch range, Strength 3, multiple shots, 2d6, poison attacks. Kind of a cool thing to see, I mean, it's a short-ranged burst of poison attacks. I like it, Okay, cool, I'm going to charge the Stegadon. Okay, enjoy going through 2d6 Strength 3 cloud of poison darts because that's going to take some wounds. They've also got the Engine of the Gods, which is really what you want when you take the Stegadon. Basically, it's got arcane configuration. At the start of the magic phase, select one of the lores of magic. Until your next magic phase, all spells cast from that lore are one easier to cast to a minimum of three, which is just phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal. The Engine of Gods also gives you Burning Alignment. It's an innate bound spell, power level 3, targets every enemy unit within 46 inches, and each target takes d6 strength for flaming hits. Huge, powerful spell. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but bottom line is that can really wreck face. And 46 inches is a pretty good range, all things considered. It's an improved pulse, in my opinion. And last but not least is the Portent of Warding. Everything within 6 inches of the Stegadon with the Engine of the Gods gets a 6+ ward save, which is nice. Hey, now I don't need to take a shield for the parry save. Now we just have it. A couple of upgrades that these guys can take are Unstoppable Stampede, which grants them Devastating Charge, whoopee effing do. But the one that you have to take, I'm not even joking, if you take a Stegadon, you have to take this upgrade. I don't care if you don't have enough points. Take the ward save off one of your characters. Sharpened Horns. You do D3 wounds with your each impact hit. Are you friggin' kidding me? If you take a Stegadon without sharpened horns, you have done yourself a disservice, and you should be ashamed of yourself, because I'm ashamed of you. Sharpened horns. Take it, or don't take the Stegadon. Amazing upgrade. Pros, these are a badass model. Love the models, really do. The engine alone makes the unit a +1 in every army bar none. Love sharpened horns. D3 impact hit or D3 wounds with your impact hits. Oh my, you do so many anyway. I mean, you literally run through other monsters. You literally run through monsters infantry. It's devastating. The Stegadon just became elite. How crazy is that? He is a standalone, fully combat capable monster. He is the monster you will compare other monsters to. And he's a support choice. He's got support. He gives you a 6+ ward. He's got the pulse. He's got that boosting. It gives you +1 to cast a certain lore, or makes it one easier to cast. He's everything. He's the best monster in Warhammer, bar none. No Lizardman army is complete without one. I don't care if you're playing at 500 points and you can't legally field one. Figure out how to do it anyway. Try to slip it in there. He's cheaper than a Mutalith and twice as effective. He is cheaper than a Mutalith butt naked without the sharpened horns. He is cheaper than a Mutalith. How in God's name is that right? Cons, they're not a core choice. I couldn't find one if you gave me a million years. If you don't like Stegadons, you're wrong. Plain simple and to the point. I don't care. You can debate it all you want. Deep down inside in your soul, if you have one, you know I'm right and you're wrong. Next up, we got Salamander hunting packs. They're aquatic, cold-blooded, cause fear, scaly skin 5+, and are skirmishers. And they also have the hunting pack special rule, which basically means this unit follows the rules from monsters and handlers. Characters can't join this unit. Monster reaction test once and apply to all the monsters that are still left alive if they're required. They also have the Spout Flames rule. Basically, the range is an artillery die. With the template, strength 4, flaming attack, slow to fire. Use the flaming template and the artillery die to determine where the shot lands. If a misfire is rolled, D3 skink handlers die. They either got in the way of the flaming breath or the salamander decided it was feeding time, which is really funny. The pros of these guys is everyone loves salamanders. If you see a Lizardman player, he's probably got at least one salamander on the table. Personally, I think there's better choices out there, but they're not a bad choice at all. Unit with just one salamander can be a nice little chaff unit. He can be harassing. The template shot that he can do can be devastating, especially if it lands on a unit of toughness 3 infantry, for example. Elves, anyone? Strength 5 salamander means fast cav and chaff will avoid him because he can put a serious hurting on him if they charge him or if he charges them. And imagine what those templates could do on a unit elves. You got like a 3-bang unit of salamanders, and you roll well on your artillery die and land them, even partially on a unit of witch elves or anything elf. Oh baby, oh baby, oh! I've got the banner of the world dragon. I've got salamanders. Kiss the fattest part of my butt. Cons, leadership 5 does make me nervous. You got to watch out because with those 25% casualties, which is easy to do with the handlers, you're going to be taking some panic checks, and they are not immune. So be careful with that. And lots of things now have a 2-up ward save versus flaming attack, so you also take that into consideration when fielding these guys. There's a chance, especially with some of the stuff out there that's coming out, that your shot's going to be ineffective because they have a ward save against it. Next up are the Salamander's cousins, the Razordon hunting packs. Basically, they're exactly what a salamander is. They have aquatic, cold-blooded fear. They got the hunting pack rule as well, scaled skin 5 up, and they're skirmishers. One of their unique special rules is they have instinctive defense. They have to stand and shoot if they're charged. They can re-roll the artillery die, however, if standing and shooting, which is pretty nice. They've also got Shoot Barbs. It's an 18-inch range spell, strength 4, quick to fire. It's a shooting attack that works just like the cannon's grape shot. If a misfire is rolled, D3 skink handlers die. They either got in the way of the thorns or the Razordon decided it was lunchtime. Which, yeah, basically they're salamanders with horns. Pros, I like these guys better than salamanders. I do. I like the models anyway. Salamanders, I do see their purpose, but I see the Razordon purpose too. They're cheaper than salamanders, so that's kind of nice. It's a good poor man salamander. And by poor man, I don't mean financially. I mean point cost. Ooh, I've got 2 Stegadons. I've got one that my guys are riding. I've got Carnosaurs. But I need some sort of chaff, and I don't feel like taking Skinks without a Razordon because I've only got enough points for 1 or 2. Well, you can take a Razordon instead of a Salamander and still have a decent chaff unit. The cons, you have to roll to hit on Ballistic Skill 3. That really sucks, and in my opinion, that's why you don't see too many of these guys. And if you get charged with these guys, you can't flee if you can stand and shoot. I guess if you get charged in the flank or the rear, you'd be set. But if you get charged in the front and they can stand and shoot, they have to stand and shoot, which is sucky. Now, all the immunopsychology rule with none of the benefit. Now we come to Bastiladon, or as I like to call it, the sad puppy. It just looks like a puppy to me. The model is cool, don't get me wrong, but he just looks like a puppy to me. Whenever I see him, I'm like, who's your good boy? Who's your Bastiladon? You're a Bastiladon. He comes with the flat-out rule of always strikes last. He's just a big dumb dog, aren't you, big guy? Yes, you are. He's got cold-blooded. He's got the Howdah Crew special rule. He's a large target. He's got a 2-up scaly skin, and he causes terror. He's also got the special rule impervious defense. Basically, he has no flanks or rear, which is very cool. And he's got thunderous bludgeon, which, okay, if one attack is resolved at strength 10. He receives a +1 to hit if the target is in his rear, and you have to declare the attack before rolling the hit. He's only got 3 attacks, guys. This guy is not your combat guy. If he gets charged in the rear, what the hell were you thinking about? Why would you let that happen? So that you could take one of your 3 attacks and possibly get a strength 10 hit off on him? That's just dumb. Don't be dumb. This guy shouldn't get into combat. He is not a combat role monster unless it's strictly for support reasons. He can take some equipment. He's got the Arcasotek, which basically is at the end of the friendly turn, one friendly jungle swarm within 6 inches adds a base on a 4-up. So basically, it's a way to make your jungle swarms swarmier. They can take the unit above its starting size. So if you start with a unit of 3 and one die, or and it doesn't die, and you are able to make it a 4, hey, so be it. So if multiple Bastiladons try to up your unit of jungle swarms, you're good to go. Also grants a shooting attack. The range is D6 inches though, which really sucks. Strength 2, which also sucks, and it's 2d6 hits. At strengths at range 6 D6 inches? What the fuck is the point of that? What? What D6 inches? So potentially it's 1 inch range. Does the Bastiladon try to throw the shot at him? What the hell? Just an awful, awful shooting attack. He's also got the solar engine. All friendly units within 6 inches with the cold-blooded rule gain +1 initiative. Who the hell cares? Oh, good, my initiative's now 2. Oh, good, my initiative's now 3. You still get to attack me first. Whatever, that's stupid. And the Beam of Chotek. It's an 8-bound spell, power level 3. Magic missile, 24-inch range, flaming attacks. Roll a d6 and consult the Bastiladon chart to determine the power of the shots. On a 1, it's d3 strength 3. On a 2 or a 3, it's d6 strength 4. On a 4 or 5, it's 2d6 strength 5. And on a 6, it's 2d6 strength 6, plus the target suffers -1 weapon skill and bliss skill until the next magic phase. I like that. This is what, I mean, the Bastiladon's dirt cheap anyway for a monster, and he's a support monster. But really, is the way I see him is, if you're going to take Jungle Swarms, which we already reviewed, isn't a terrible choice. A Bastiladon with the regenerating Jungle Swarm thing is very cool. It's a great little thing to take. But if you're not going to take Jungle Swarms, which most people don't, you get the Beam of Chotek, which is great if you don't want to take a Slaan. You know, you're going to just take a bunch of Skinks or whatever. Now you've got this guy, and basically he's like a cannonball shooter, you know, just doesn't do multiple wounds. But on a 4 up, you're doing 2d6 hits at strength 5 or 6, and on a 1 to 3, it's not great, but you're still doing shots. You know, this is a badass shot that this thing can get off on power level 3. Hell, I would take that and throw 1 die at it every round just to pull out the spell dice and pet the Bastiladon in between turns. Who's your good boy? Totally worth taking in that situation. The pros, I like the model. I do. He just looks like a big dumb puppy to me, and I love that. I'm a dog person. He'd be a great choice in a no Slaan list because of the Beam of Chotek, which I really do like. I always stop the spell, and when it does go off on me, it hurts, so I stop it every single time. And you know what? For the point cost, it's a fine cheap support monster. There's no reason not to take one, especially if you're not taking a Slaan. The solar engine is, the cons are the solar engine's kind of meh. +1 initiative, whoop the effing do. It's only got 3 strength 4 attacks, which I don't like. I know he's not a combat character. He's more of an anvil, but really he's not stubborn. So I don't really think you could even use him like that. If he was unbreakable or stubborn, I could see it, but he's not, and he's low leadership because he's a monster with skinks on him. I don't know what they were thinking when they made his fluff and stuff like that, but you do not put this thing in combat unless it's a combat that you just need that one last straw to push it your way, and other than that, it's dangerous to throw this guy into combat. And the Archosotek is very situational. You literally have to have the stars aligned to make that shooting attack worth anything. Next up is the Carnosaur. Love this guy too. I do. I know I've said that about a lot of the models, but I really do like their models. I don't want to play Lizardmen just because they don't play the way I like to play, but I do want their models. I really, really like them. They're cold-blooded, they're large targets, they do multiple wounds, D3 multiple wounds. They've only got a 4 upscaled skin, but whatever, they're more on the offensive side of the spectrum, and they cause terror. But they got this upgrade called Blood Frenzy. Or that's not a blood upgrade, but they got a special rule called Blood Frenzy. Once the Carnosaur inflicts an unsaved wound, not the rider, it gains Frenzy and cannot lose it. This is same from before, but it's still a very cool wound. You don't start off with Frenzy, but once you get into combat, you are frenzied. And with D3 wounds to just everything, that is intense. I love that. Upgrades you can buy for him is Blood Roar. When resolving a fear or terror test from the Carnosaur, the unit must roll an additional d6 and discard the lowest. Why would you ever take a Carnosaur without Blood Roar? You can't give me a good reason, because there isn't one. It's a trick question. I've set you up for failure. If you take a Carnosaur without Blood Roar, it's like taking a Stegadon without sharpened horns. You should literally close your eyes and walk into the traffic because you have failed the Lizardmen. Do not take a Carnosaur without Blood Roar. I charged a unit that is susceptible to terror. I have lost full units of Chaos Warriors because of this thing. Okay, great. You made your leadership check. I'm in combat with you now. Every turn this bad boy is in combat with you, he has to take a 3d6 minus the lowest fear check against you, potentially making it so that his unit is now all weapon skill 1 because the Carnosaur is terrifying. I love this rule. It is too good. Literally too good. And then he's got Loping Stride, which gives him Swift Stride. Whatever. You can take that or you don't have to. He's movement 7. I don't take Swift Stride. I don't take Wings on my Demon Princes because movement 8 with 2d6 is enough. If you want Swift Stride on this guy, go ahead. But he's probably going to outpace your army. So take that in consideration, I guess. The pros, the coolest new model in the released. Arguable. I know it's debatable, but I absolutely love this model. I want to buy one, have my wife paint it, and just look at it on the shelf because I'll never play Lizardmen. The reason I won't is because their initiative is too low. I don't. I know I'm going to play dwarves, but it's just I don't want to. I'm sorry. I'm racist. Does that help? I don't know. Another pro is that the lords and heroes can take this thing as a mount. That's right. A Scar veteran and an Old Blood could be running side by side on matching Carnosaurs. I would do that. If I played Lizardmen, that's what I would do. I would have Carnosaur after Carnosaur after Stegadon after Stegadon. It would be glorious. 4 attacks that do D3 wounds is pretty intense. Once he does a wound, an unsaved wound, now he's got 5 attacks that do D3 wounds. Monsters, characters, anything that has more than 1 wound. If you are in base-to-base contact in close combat with this thing, you have made a mistake. You had better kill this thing, because if you don't, oh, the things I'm going to do to you. The unlosable frenzy once he gets it, and strength 7 makes the Carnosaur possibly the most terrifying monster in the Warhammer universe. His cons are he has a low armor save. Loping Stride is take it or leave it, and you can't take it as a lone model. I know, I'm asking for the world, but I see it as a con that I can't take a Carnosaur by itself, because I think that the model would be fine standing by itself. I would almost take my Scar Veteran naked on top of him, just so that he could be shot off the top and my Carnosaur could just go do his thing. That's going to do it. I'm not going to go over the named characters. Number 1, I don't like named characters. That's just me personally. And number 2, I don't care about them enough to do a review on them. If you want to take a named character, then you know what you're getting into, and damn my opinion. But so we're going to go into the disciplines of the old ones. I'm not going to go through all of them because it's boring. I don't really care that much about the Slaan's disciplines. I'm just going to name a handful of mine and go over their rules. Basically, a Slaan can take up to 4 disciplines. Each discipline can only be taken once per army, which for the most part you're always going to be fine with because you're never going to take more than 1 Slaan in most games. Here are my favorites out of the ones that are there. The discipline Soul of Stone. You get to add or subtract 1 from the result of a miscast. Basically, it's like a little mini infernal puppet for your Slan, so you can stay out of that 2 to 4 range and that 10 to 12 range relatively easy. And with a 4 board save, you should be able to suffer those damages pretty easily. Harmonic Convergence. Roll 2 extra dice when channeling power to spell dice. I've never seen a Slan not take this. Basically, you get more magic dice in both phases, power and dispel. Why would you not take this? There's no reason not to. Rolling 3 dice to channel. That's why I take the Skull of Catan. I get 6 dice to channel, but I also take leadership. There's all the bonus, none of the setback with the Harmonic Convergence. And Higher State of Consciousness. The Slan gains the Ethereal and Unstable rule and can't join units. I like the idea of this because now you don't need to run him in a unit. I still would if I ran these guys, but the option to make him Ethereal and Unstable I don't need to run him in a unit. He can be behind the unit. He can do his thing, and you can shoot at him with non-magical stuff all you want, and you're not going to hurt him. Fast Cav gets a hold of him. Well, they can't hurt him unless they have magical attacks, and I can hurt them with my one attack, or hold him there long enough for something to come over there and take him out. I like the higher state of consciousness. I think that's a really cool thing to give him. Here's some treasures of the old ones. Basically, here's their armory, their race-specific armory. The weapons, they've got the Blade of Realities. No armor or ward save can be taken against wounds caused by this blade. I like this blade. If I did take two old bloods, like one on foot and one on a Carnosaur, because that's what I would do, the one on foot would have the Blade of Realities. Plain simple and to the point. Is it smart? Hell no. It's all offense. But if he can get into combat and he can swing, do some damage, oh, well, luckily I have my 1-up armor and 3-up ward rerolling ones. No, you don't. It's a Blade of Realities. You're butt naked, and I just shoved my sword there. It's a stars align type of thing, but if those stars align, it makes it worth every single point. It's incredibly expensive, but it negates armor and ward saves. I would probably try it at least once. And my personal favorite is the Piranha Blade. Multiple wounds D3 and armor piercing. Magical attacks. I would take this every single army I could. I would consider putting it on a Skink Chief. I really would. I really like the Piranha Blade. I think it's an amazing weapon. I'm actually a little jealous that Warriors Chaos don't have access to anything like that. Well, okay, that's not entirely true, but I don't play Nurgle, so. Next is their armor and standards. The Sacred Stegadon Helm of Itza, or however you want to pronounce it. Basically, the wearer gets +1 armor save, +1 toughness, and impact hits D3. I like this helmet. I've seen it on a lot of Scar veterans and old ones on cold ones. D3 impact hits is very, very cool. Strength 5, +1 toughness, +1 armor save. I would take it on an old one with a Piranha Blade every single time, just because I really, really like it. There's also the Skaven Pelt banner. Basically, it grants the unit that has it Frenzy and Hatred of Skaven. However, all Skaven hate the banner bearer. I don't know why you would take this banner. Even if you were going to play Skaven, I don't fully understand why you would want Hatred Skaven. I guess if you wanted to give your unit Frenzy, that would be cool, but I mean, you have to put it on a BSB. A frenzied Slaan is kind of dangerous. I don't know. Just or a Scar veteran. I don't know why you would do this. I really, really don't. Skaven aren't that dangerous to Lizardmen, in close combat. It's the amount that are there. Why you would want the Skaven to have hatred against the banner bearer who's now naked? I don't understand this banner. I leave it at home. Next is the Jaguar standard. Basically, it grants Swift Stride. I don't know why you would take this one either. It's expensive for what it does. Swift Stride on a Carnosaur is dirt cheap compared to this thing. The only thing that could take it, like the only units that could take this banner already have Swift Stride, and putting it on a BSB makes it so the BSB is now naked. So yay, now you can just get into the combat where he's going to die quicker. Your Saurus warriors do not need to be in combat that fast. I don't understand why you would take it. If you have any idea or any reason why you would take it, feel free to put it in the comments section. Help out your fellow Lizardmen players, or potentially, enlighten me. I would appreciate that. But yeah, I don't understand the Jaguar standard at all. It seems like a waste. Next are the arcane and enchanted items. The Cube of Darkness. It's a dispel scroll that works on a 2-up. Also, on a further 2-up, it kills any rip spell that's in play. You roll a d6 for each rip spell that's currently in play. I don't take it for the rip spell. That's just a stupid little bonus because there aren't that many rips out anymore that, Lizardmen player are going to be worried about. If it goes off, you're already SOL anyway. But yeah, basically I see it as an extra dispel scroll. Take it on a Skink, be happy. Basically, on a 2-up, you're going to stop your next spell, or stop 2 spells in a game. It's very cool to have. That's why I would take it. It would be a +1 in any of my armies because I'd have 2 Skinks, 1 with a scroll, 1 with a cube. Simple as that. Next up is the Plaque of Dominion. It's a bound spell, power level 3. It's a hex. All enemy wizard within 18 inches gains stupidity. I don't know why you would bother taking this, to be perfectly honest. Making enemy wizards within 18 inches of whoever has this thing stupid. Whoopie-doo. those wizards are probably going to be in a unit or possibly the general. They're going to have leadership 7, 8, 9, 10. Who knows? The odds of them actually failing their stupidity roll and being stupid, it's unlikely. It's not worth the points or the slot, in my opinion. And so I understand why people leave this one at home. I would much rather take Ruby Ringaroo and at least have a reliable magic missile for the same power level cost, you know? Next up is the Cloak of Feathers. Skink character on foot only, and he gains the Fly Special Room or Fly Special Rule and Magic Resistance 1. It'd be cool on a Skink Priest or a Skink Chief kitted out for War Machine hunting. Your Skink Priest, you know, if he's running around just to provide range and a better shot at with magic missiles direct damage for your Slaan or something like that, be really cool. It's dirt cheap considering what it grants you. Magic Resistance 1 is whoop the F and do, but I'd rather have one save than no save, you know? But yeah, I could see using that. I think the Cloak of Feathers is a very cool magic item at their disposal, and it should be used if you're going to take Skink characters at all. Next is the Horn of Krygor, whatever. It's one use only, and you use it to start at any friendly movement phase. Once you use it, all monsters, mounts, beasts, warbeasts, chariots, cavalry, anything that's not walking on two legs, basically, gain frenzy until your next movement phase. It does not affect the riders, though, so the cold ones would have it, not the riders. If you have a lot of monsters, cav monsters, you know, salamander, stuff like that, and they're in combat, or they're about to be in combat, you're about to charge, hell yeah. Hell yeah, this horn is worth it. I think if you're going to do some sort of monster mash or dinosaur hunter or something like that, by all means, take this thing. It's really going to be worth it. Plus one attack doesn't seem like a lot, but when grouped up into a big group, a bunch of them or whatever, hell yeah, it's a lot. And then, of course, the Egg of Quango. I love this thing. One use only, use at the start of any close combat phase, roll a d6 to determine what happens. Damage counts towards combat resolution. On a 1, you do d6 strength 3 hits. I know, but it's a 1 in 6 chance that it's basically a dud. On a 2 to 3, however, you're doing d6 strength 4 hits, which is a fireball. You get a free fireball into combat, and there's nothing your opponent can do about it, which I think is kind of cool. But you have a 50% chance to do 2d6 strength 5 hits, and they count towards combat resolution. Anything elf that is sexy. Honestly, I don't know if the Banner of the World Dragon would actually work against this item because it's not a spell. I don't even know if it's magical. Nothing in there says that it's magical, so I think this could actually circumvent the Banner of the World Dragon. A little bit of strategy, a little bit of tactics. I would have this item in every list I played if I played Lizardmen. That's why I would have a Skink Chief running around. He would just have the Egg of Quango. I absolutely love this item. I'm a gambler. It fits in with how I roll, but I love the idea of this egg. I open up an egg, a crazy hungry baby chick jumps out, does a handful of damage, and takes off. And now let's fight, now that your unit is bleeding from the arm. I like the idea of the item, and I think that more Lizardmen people should play it. That's just my opinion. Well, here's some more thoughts on the Lizardman book just to close this all up because my review is mostly finished. Basically, I like the monsters. I think that all their new stuff is very, very cool. There's a few exceptions. The Troglodon, I think, unless you're playing a skink-themed army or you just kind of like the model too much to put it away, I don't see it doing anything but collecting dust. However, the Carnosaurs and the Stegadon, both flavors, are incredibly nice now. Insane in combat. Absolutely, positively worth taking in any list that you field. I don't care if you're only playing 100 points. Find a way. Find a way. I don't want to hear it. I like the idea of not needing a Slaan anymore to have a viable list. Even a Scarvet on a cold one can be brutal in close combat with this army now. Their initiative is a little bit of a pain, but if you can kit your stuff out to weather attacks, whatever they dish out is going to be just outstanding. They really did a good job of balancing this book. I'm proud of them. They did good. The fact that Scar veterans can take Carnosaurs as mounts has got to be the best upgrade ever. I have a hero choice on a Tyrannosaurus Rex. enough said. I don't think I need to justify that anymore. Bastiladons are a great cheap for a monster support units. The Beam of Chotek is scary. Uh, and he's just a good boy. He's just such a good boy. I don't like that Bastiladons aren't stubborn. The fluff shows that they should be unbreakable, and they're not even stubborn. What the actual F? That really eats at me. The Ripperdactyls are amazing. Their potential outweighs almost anything else in this book. I have no idea why more people don't use them. I see Pteranodons over it all the time, and they almost do nothing ever. But Ripperdactyls, especially with the Toad marker, they have such potential. Frenzy, Killing Blow, Armor Piercing. Please, if you're a Lizardman general and you're listening to this right now, please take a minute and put in the comments section why people don't take Ripperdactyls. If you take one, tell me why you take it, and just lie to me. Tell me how glorious it is. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And maybe that's why I'd be a terrible Lizardman general, but yeah, that's just my problem. Troglodon is a badass model, but feels unfinished, the rules and stuff like that. I can't justify a reason to take one other than for fluff reasons. And let's be honest, that's not always a great reason to take something. In my opinion, though, the new book is incredibly well balanced. The army is full of very subtle strengths. The Ripperdactyls being a great indicator of that with their armor-piercing frenzy, killing blow, the toad and stuff like that. But you look at them and you think, those are just pterodons. They're no threat. Oh my god, they just got in there and tore up my mage. Oh my god, they just got in there and tore up my lord. Oh my god, they just got in there and tore up something, and I wasn't expecting. It's a subtle strength. The Bastiladon. Oh, he's such a cute little puppy. He sucks in close. Oh my god, the Beam of Chotek just ripped a hole through my unit. Oh my god, this, that, and the other thing. The Carnosaur. Oh, he's only got 4 attacks. Oh, he just hit with 3 of them and did 9 wounds. To my ogres or something like that. It's a lot of real subtle stuff that can be real amazing. Oh god, the Stegadon just charged me, but it's just a regular Stegadon. I'll be, oh no, his impact hits do D3 wounds. It's the quiet under the cuff, the Lizardman approach. They're not flashy, they're not real, quick or anything like that. But when they get a hold of you, they rip out your rib cage and show you your own beating heart before sacrificing you to Sotek. It's a very cool army for just the badass. These are the guys that don't look at the explosion as they're walking away. But it's a very cool army to play against. It's one of my favorite armies to play against, especially one that's fully painted. The artistic abilities alone, the options anyway, are just infinite. You could look at a million Lizardman armies and not see one painted the same way once, and they would all take your breath away. In fact, when I go to GTs and stuff like that, I usually look for the Lizardman armies first because I just want to be wowed. I want to set the bar high. And you can see that in the pictures I take of armies of like the Alamo and the Shiloh that I went to last year and this year. But all in all, guys, if you're gonna play the Lizardman army, definitely good choice. This is not a weak army. It's a very competitive army. It synergizes very easily. It's a very easily themed army. The painting styles or the painting options and abilities, you can't go wrong. Purple with pink polka dots, it'll still look badass. Orange and yellow still look badass. The purple and puce or whatever, you're not going to find a bad combo. Everything that all the weaknesses are easily synergized with something that has the strength that complements that weakness or whatever. It's a very, very cool army to field. It's a very cool army to play against, and really there's absolutely no reason that you shouldn't have a good time playing against or with a Lizardman army. But yeah, guys, I know it's been like a long time, but I finally got it done. So I hope you guys enjoyed the Lizardmen review. I really do. I hope you guys were able to take something from it, either when facing the Lizardmen or fielding the Lizardmen. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below. And try to remember that this is an opinion thing. It's an army book review by a guy who calls himself Lord Tremendous. Try not to take it too serious. I'm trying to stir debate. If I said something you disagree with, feel free to put it in the comment section below. That's the whole purpose, to get people in here, get us brainstorming, get this working so that, all of our Lizardman opponents are better, so they give us better games, and all of our Lizardmen players are better so they can give us better games. Simple as that. And that's why I'm doing these reviews of books that have been released for months. I'm hoping to help improve. Maybe that's a little egocentric of me, but hey, I'm kind of a jagoff anyway, so it works for me. But yeah, guys, all right, I'm done. Thanks.